Okay, this video is about the problem of ensuring accountability. So it's meant as the final video in the series about algorithmic accountability. And then we'll use our framework to work through this, starting out with what is the problem. Okay, so in other videos in the series, we've developed a formula. You can't just start finding technical solutions to get accountability. You have to start out with understanding why you want accountability in the first place. Once you've identified why you want accountability, then you can start developing a subset of explanations that are relevant for why you want accountability. Once you've identified those explanations, then you can start working on the technical solutions to get those explanations. But what I want to ask here is, why would this process ever start? So the reason I'm worried about this is because the organizations, usually for profit, who develop these models kind of have a built-in reason to want their customers to trust their models. They also have a built-in reason to want to be able to manage the models, and so there's some kind of accountability that we should assume they're going to develop, although we can't be guaranteed, first of all. And second of all, if we're talking about we want legal accountability, or we want there to be an opportunity to fight back, or as I explained in one video, if we want to protect our dignity and the dignity of others, they have no built-in reason to do that. I'm not saying that all corporations are evil, but I am saying that sometimes they need a built-in reason to want to do that, and if they don't have it, then it's just not going to happen. So we have to make it illegal to develop models that are fundamentally unaccountable, right? We want models that we can manage and evaluate. Okay, so what's familiar about this problem? Well, we should look back a few decades to the advent of credit reporting agencies in the United States. So these were agencies that compiled certain data about you and then processed it in a certain way and used that data to make decisions about your credit worthiness, which of course would affect whether you can get a loan or things like that. Okay, credit reporting agencies, of course, there are lots of differences with the models they used at the time and probably still used and the AI models of today. But what's interesting is that as soon as credit reporting agencies came online, or soon after, there were laws that set to regulate credit reporting. Okay, so these regulations are a bit different than regulations that we'll need to enforce the accountability of machine learning algorithms. And the basic reason is because credit reporting regulation has the luxury of being able to enforce transparency, right? It basically forces the models to be transparent. So transparency is a means to the end of comprehension, and comprehension is, even though it's an end, it's also a means to accountability. And so credit reporting regulation can just push on that, like we need transparency. Now that's possible because while the customers typically don't understand how the models work, the data scientists who manage them do have some good comprehension of the models. Okay, now I don't know exactly how the models work, but there's just a few inputs, and then there's one credit score outputted. So I can't imagine that that the dimensionality is a 500 or there's crazy things going on with the model. They're probably the kind of thing that data scientists can more or less understand. But as we discussed, so comprehending machine learning models is not possible. And so that means that transparency with machine learning models is not desirable. The good news is that the goal is not comprehension. The goal is accountability, and we can get accountability another way through explanation. So laws enforce explanation, not transparency. Okay, here's the problem though. So explanation is complicated, it's multifaceted, there's lots of things that count as a valid explanation. And so the laws that enforce that explanation are also going to have to be complicated. All right, which ethical value is relevant? Well, basically all of them, because models that are producing obviously harmful outcomes that we can't manage, that affects our happiness. If we are misclassified in error or unfairly classified, we want to be able to fight back, which affects our autonomy. We also want an explanation just because it's respect to our dignity. It's an affront to our dignity if we're affected and we don't understand why. There's also legal reasons and trust reasons also, right? So we're okay with using models we don't understand, black boxes, as long as someone understands them. So if there's no accountability, we can't trust the models. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? I'll back up. Washington State, which is the state I'm standing in right now, I'm in Seattle. And back in 2019, they were considering a bill on what they called algorithmic accountability. And as far as I know, there are no other states that have algorithmic accountability laws. There might have been also one floating around in California, but this was out ahead of its time. Now, that bill, which was initially exciting for me, I actually had a chance to comment on it. That bill didn't go anywhere, and I think we can figure out why. Right? So if you remember 2020, we were all just trying to keep the lights on and keep ourselves alive. People weren't worried about algorithmic accountability. I think that got pushed off, and we were just trying to figure out how to keep the world going. But there's a new version of it at the national level, a new proposed version. So there's a version of the Algorithmic Accountability Act in Congress, a version of it in the Senate. It's sponsored by Ron Wyden. And so in 2023, he produced a summary of the Algorithmic Accountability Act, what it would actually do. And I encourage you to check it out, watch some videos about it, read Ron Wyden's summary, read the actual text of the bills. But this is important stuff, right? Because accountability, if we don't have accountable models, we can't assume that companies are going to want to develop truly accountable models on their own. They don't have the built-in reasons for that, so it's going to take laws, and we don't want to end up with a situation where we're dramatically affected by models that we can't legally respond to, we can't fight back, and don't respect our dignity. Certainly, we don't want models that we can't manage, and so we're going to need something like the Algorithmic Accountability Act, if not this exact thing, then something like it. And that is the basic way that we're going to have to ensure accountability is through the law.